Hello, today we're going to talk about disaster planning for pets. And the main concept behind that is if you go, they go. No pet should be left behind. This is our Humane Society, and we are located at 6230 77th Street in Vero Beach, Florida. We have our main adoption building. We have our animal receiving building, which is for lost and found pets. We do hold the county contract for animals that are lost or stray. So if you do find an animal, please contact us, especially during a disaster situation, because there may be an owner looking for that pet. We also have a clinic where you can get the necessary identification for your pet, such as a microchip. Some of the services that we do offer is we house and care for lost, surrendered, and abandoned animals. We also have the adoption services. If there is a concern about animals not being cared for, you are welcome to call our shelter. We do offer low-cost spay and neuter services, our animal wellness clinic, pet behavior training, and we do have free pet ID tags. You are welcome to come in at any time and get a free pet ID tag, and identification is essential for your pet, especially during a disaster, because that's really the only way we'd be able to know who the pet belongs to. And then we do have disaster assistance for those owners that are unsure what their planning needs might be. We offer humane education, pet therapy, grief counseling, and then we do offer euthanasia services for people that feel that it is time for their pet. If it's suffering or in need of euthanasia, they can contact our office. We offer foster care for pets during emergency services, and that is for our first responders that have no other means of caring for their pets other than leaving them behind while they're serving our community, or for our citizens that are registered with the special needs shelter. They would need to call our Humane Society and register ahead of time for foster care for their pets. And then we also have a really fun member-supported dog park. So the gist of it is that there are over 79,000 companion animals that reside in our community. And at the very, very best, in best situations, there would only be 1,000 to 2,000 kennel spaces available, and those would be at our local veterinary offices, boarding facilities, grooming, or other pet-related facilities. So we have to remember that other 77,000 animals really are the responsibility of their pet owners, for the simple fact that there are not enough facilities to care for your pet in the event that you're not able to take them with you. So again, if you go, they go. But unfortunately, our pets haven't learned how to drive yet, and their little feet can't reach the pedals. So it's all up to the pet owner. So some of the things that we look at, we also here in Florida seem to think that our only disaster situation could be a hurricane. But it's best to have plans for really all of the following, because we are susceptible to flooding, tornadoes, fires. There could be a critical incident situation or a hazmat spill that would keep you from returning home. So it is best to have a plan. So we're going to go over a couple of those scenarios. So the first scenario would be that a propane truck would overturn near your home. The power has been shut off to your neighborhood. You're not allowed to get back home. The residents are asked to evacuate, and you're not able to get back in to get your pets. So the big question is, do you have a plan to ensure your pet's safety? And we're going to go over some of the things that you could do. It's best if you could befriend a friend or a neighbor to help your animals if you're not home. Set aside a prearranged meeting place, and this person should have a key to your home, be familiar with your animals, and know where your evacuation and first aid kits are kept. Those we generally refer to those as go kits. And then make sure your pet is always wearing a collar and a tag, for the simple fact that most animals that enter animal shelters or that are lost do not have that identification on them. So it's almost impossible for us to reunite them with their owners if we don't know who to call. Keep carriers and leashes nearby and make sure that the person that you've arranged your plans with knows where all these things are. The second scenario, which is really a scary scenario, and it does happen in our community, is you're awakened in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, your smoke alarm is going off, your home is filled with smoke, you have a dog and 2 cats. Do you have an emergency evacuation plan, and have you actually practiced that? It's essential for both your family and for your pets, for the simple fact that most animals in a situation like this are going to be really, really scared. So are you prepared? So first responders are very familiar with these stickers. They are available at the Humane Society free of charge. And you would place one of these on all your exits and entrances into your home. It is an emergency sticker. We want you to have that emergency evacuation plan and make sure everyone in your family is familiar with it and has practiced it. You know, conduct those drills and include your pet in those. Teach the pet simple commands that they can follow if they're confused or they're disoriented, especially with our kitties, because our dogs are more used to going out and going places with us and visiting, but most of our poor kitties once a year are crammed in a carrier and taken to the vet, so they really don't like that scenario. So practice with your kitties and give them treats and let them know that that's a special place and it's not a scary place. Our third scenario is something that we are much more familiar with here in Indian River County, but it is something to think about. The scenario would be that there is a Category 4 hurricane that's approaching our community. Landfall is anticipated within 48 hours, and you live in an older home and you're east of I-95. So at this point, what should your plans include? What should you be aware of? Is that 48-hour period enough, or do you have a plan in place, which we suggest getting those plans ready well before hurricane season? Call your friends or family and see if you can stay with them. You can call hotels to see if they have any availability. Most of the time, the ones closer to your home are already booked at this point, so you may have to travel somewhere. You'll want to pack sufficient supplies and food and medications for you and your pets. You're also going to make sure that your pets have a carrier or a crate and are up to date on all their identification. And even if they do have that identification, are the phone numbers and the addresses associated with that identification current? Because if they're not, again, we won't be able to get those pets back to you. So it's very important that all that information is kept current and reviewed every year. The essential part is the planning. It's a stressful time for all of us. And again, our Emergency Operations Center will keep you apprised of the conditions that are going on. Is it possible to have Plan A where you can shelter in place, where your home is secure? Is this a situation where you might need to evacuate with your pets? That would be your Plan B. And as we've seen in many situations, hurricanes have a tendency to shift. So we would want you to have a Plan C, and that would be a second evacuation location in the event that you and the storm are headed in the same direction. So again, there are many forms of identification, and we recommend at least 3. A microchip, which is pictured here on the left side of your screen, is about the size of a grain of rice. It is implanted at your veterinarian. It's a simple shot that's given under the skin, up in the shoulder area. And that microchip, when scanned with a bar scanner, will give us an identification number, and that identification number is linked to all your contact information and a secondary contact, an emergency contact. Please make sure that all pets have that ID on them. You can also take a photo of you and your pet to establish ownership. Many of the disasters that we have responded to, we have, unfortunately, people trying to claim animals that don't belong to them. So if you would walk into a lost and found shelter where there are 700 or 800 animals, and you say, you know, I've lost such and such, we're going to say, do you have a picture of you and your kitty? Can you prove ownership to us? So that picture is worth 1,000 words. The next thing you'd want to do is determine if your home is safe. Do you live in an evacuation or a flood zone? You know, these are the things we need to find out ahead of time if we are vulnerable where we live. Is your home structurally sound? What kind of wind speed can your home withstand? These are all things that for your own safety and for your pet's safety, you want to find out before the event happens, not during, because that really does set off a whole new schedule of events that are actually really critical and can cause problems. So you'll want to keep these points in mind. Many places do not allow pets. So some of your family members or your friends, they may have allergies where, you would be welcome, but your pet would cause a problem, and you wouldn't want that to happen. Your pets and the pets where you're staying may not be compatible, and that's always possible. Behavior can be an issue. And when we look at the picture of this little Great Dane here, he actually belongs to a friend of mine, and he was very welcome to come to their home and stay, but he had a taste for the sofa. So by the time it was time to leave, there was no sofa left. So this is where crating animals would come into play. He is obviously not going to be welcome until he's contained safely where he can't eat the furniture. And advanced planning can prevent many of these scenarios. If you do have to evacuate and you leave and you're going to an area where your pet may not be able to come due to the allergies or due to other circumstances, it's always possible to go to that destination and find a veterinary office or a boarding facility at that location that'll take your pet, because they are going to be much less crowded. So again, if you must evacuate, you want to remember friends or family, a prearranged boarding kennel, a pet-friendly hotel, and then you can also ask your veterinarian. Unfortunately, a lot of our veterinarian boarding facilities are located in an area east of the evacuation zone. And so if your vet's in that area, you're going to want to make sure that you head further west where it's safe. So again, planning is the key to finding a place that permits pets, even if your destination isn't local. And please don't wait till the last minute, because again, that's the most stressful part, is not having a plan. We are very, very fortunate that in Indian River County, we have the Liberty Pet Friendly Animal Shelter. And that shelter is for the sole purpose of providing safe shelter for pets and pet owners who reside in designated evacuation areas. It's really for those people that live in those evacuation zones, flood zones, or areas where their home may not be safe. So the location of the Liberty Magnet School is 6850 81st Street in Vero Beach. And they do take companion animals, dogs, cats, birds, rabbits, and small rodents such as hamsters or gerbils. Pre-registration is not necessary. You will actually register when you arrive at the pet-friendly shelter, and it is first come, first serve, and there is limited space available. So this shelter really should be a shelter of last resort for those residents that truly have no other option. You do have the option of downloading a registration form. You can go to our website, which is www.hsvb.org, or the emergency services website, which is www.irces.com, where you can download that registration form, have it pre-filled out, so that when you arrive, you would just hand it to the person taking the registrations. So that is the ability to save you some time. But again, you're going to want to take everything necessary for your pet. So again, to remind everyone, it should be the option of last resort. It does not require pre-registration. It is first come, first serve. Space is limited. So again, have your plans in place and have this be a shelter of last resort. You will need to make sure that you take everything with you that you will need during the duration of your stay. So that would include a safe crate, because your animal will be living in that crate, and there will be times when you'll be able to take your animal for exercise and for walks, designated times. But again, if you have a kitty, that crate needs to be large enough to hold a litter pan, a bed, your food and water dishes. Same thing for your dogs. So you'll want to make that list and check it twice. Please don't forget the identification on your pet, any prescriptions that your animal may need, emergency contact numbers. And then again, worst case scenario, we always want you to plan for at least 2 weeks worth of supplies, because again, if it's a catastrophic event, you may not be able to return to your home right away. So plenty of supplies. And the consequences that we face in not planning, we've all seen. If anybody watches Animal Planet or the news or TVs after catastrophic events, we see what happens to the animals. Many animals are lost. Our first responders sometimes are placed in jeopardy having to go back and rescue these animals after a catastrophic event. The people that evacuated their homes during Hurricane Katrina, thought that they would be leaving for a short time. They had no idea what, they were going to be facing, and that they couldn't return to their home for weeks or sometimes months, or not even at all. And those plans should actually be useful to where your animals don't need to be left behind and placed in a situation where they could be lost and have to enter a shelter. And again, we'd like to thank you for being a friend to pets in need and to having that plan, because again, they depend on us. They are the best friends that we have. They're part of the family, and they deserve to go with us. So again, thank you very much. For more information, you can contact me, Ilka Daniel. I'm the Director of Animal Protective Services at the Humane Society of Vero Beach and Indian River County. I can be reached by phone at 772-571-6408, or my email, which is the letter I, DANIEL, @hsvb.org. And again, we would like to thank you very much.